Awesome. Well, this is my very first live, so I just wanted to kind of check out the feature. And I thought it'd be a good time to maybe do just a quick recap of everything that's been going on with the Leticia Stauch trial. Um, so I watched a lot of the trial last week. And so, like, the big takeaways at first were regarding Gannon's injuries that he had. That we found out that he had been or they say blunt force trauma, so I was at like 18 times for that. And then it looks like a blunt force trauma was he got hit like 4 times and it was in the head. And then he also was shot. So it just like, it's just horrible to think about. Um, but that's kind of like the big takeaways that we found out kind of within those first couple of days. Um, and then another big thing was they released the phone calls between Al and Leticia. Um, so I just wanted to go over a few things with that. And I do have I do a lot of shorts like on my channel just because I work full time. I have a son that I take care of. So I don't do lives a whole lot. And I think I just like was able to get the feature. So it's pretty new to me yet, but yeah, I tend to do shorts quite a bit or like shorter videos, but I just thought, I had some free time. So I thought I would just pop on and just kind of go over some stuff. So, but with Al and Leticia's phone calls, one of the big things that came out of that was Leticia had asked for immunity. Um, and it's kind of like, well, what do you want immunity from? So I think that like confused Al. And I think Al, was suspicious of her from the beginning, but that just made it a little more, kind of curious. So yeah, she was like crying on the phone call. She was asking for immunity. And Al's like explained like he's like, I'm your husband. I can't give you immunity. That's something that the cops would have to do. So yeah, just kind of strange overall with that. And then Al did call her out quite a few times. Just her story kept changing. She had the Eduardo story that most of us know about, and then she also had the Quincy Brown story. So she kept, saying that like there was an intruder in her house, and they had, the R word to her, and they took Gannon and all that. So there was like multiple versions of that story that we've kind of heard just over the years with this case going on. But so that was, Al was kind of like, he doesn't know what to believe because her story just kept changing. Um, then I'd mentioned the Quincy Brown things. Yeah, and like another story with the Quincy Brown was that like supposedly like she was trying to get this bike for Al, and supposedly like I think Gannon was like testing the bike and he ended up hitting his head. So that was like another story that she had. So yeah, like just red flags all over the place with this case. But and I had mentioned too, just in my short that I did on the phone calls, like Al is just so patient with her. Like I don't know how he did it. I mean, there's like a couple of times, yeah, where he started to get really irritated with her, but I mean, he held it together so well. And maybe that's just from his military experience that he has. But I was just super impressed with him, like just how he kept it together. Especially like we're talking about his son here, like, his son could be severely hurt somewhere. And I was really impressed just how he kept himself poised and, trying to get her, to keep her talking. I just thought it was great. So that's kind of like overall the phone calls, what was going on with that. And then I know I think it was Friday was day 4 of the trial. They kind of had talked about, I didn't do like a video or anything on it, but they were talking a lot about Florida, like when he was found. That was just kind of a recap. They talked about finding him, in the suitcase, and they had the lady that had actually like found him and did the report and everything, kind of just what she observed. And they talked about, it was a pretty severely, he was decomposed pretty bad just because of the elements in Florida. If anyone follows the Casey Anthony case, like Kaylee was kind of the same situation where she was, you know, found in like water, kind of like a swampy area. Unfortunately, when they're in the elements like that, I mean, they decompose a lot faster, and all that stuff. So, but yeah, like they found him, you know, over the overpass. He was in that suitcase, which is just crazy to think about. Like, can't believe like she put him in a suitcase and just tossed him off like a piece of trash. But, so yeah, a lot of the testimony was on last Friday was kind of just focused on that, like when they actually found him. And, you know, they had, also on the witness stand, they had the lady that was working the front desk of the hotel that her and Harley were staying at. So kind of just getting an insight on that. And it was weird. Like one of the weird things with that was she said that she worked for the Ford Motor Company, which I didn't think was accurate. So I don't know if like she had a family member that worked for Ford and she used like their discount when she checked into the hotel. I just thought that was kind of strange. So I don't know if she just flat out lied about the Ford, you know, having an affiliation with Ford. But that was just interesting to me. And then today, so that was kind of a good recap of what happened last week, just kind of overall. And then they did start today with day 5. And we did learn his toxicology results, Gannon's toxicology results, which were a little different, I will say. But he did have Tylenol in the system, which I kind of expected that, you know, if he was in a lot of pain, especially from the burns he had, you know, it's pretty normal that he probably would have been in a lot of pain. Maybe she used Tylenol to kind of help ease it a little bit. And it probably didn't work because he needed medical attention. But yeah, I wasn't really surprised that they found Tylenol in his system. But they also found hydrocodone in his system, which is very unusual. And the medical examiner had kind of talked about, like, you know, sometimes they see hydrocodone in like children's cough medicine, which I guess any cough medicine I give my son, like, I know it doesn't have that in it. That would be maybe something if it was like a very strong cough medicine that was prescribed by a doctor. But hydrocodone, like, you see that a lot with adults, and they're, you know, they get prescribed that kind of thing like after a surgery or like, you know, something like that. So I know my husband, like, he had a really massive ankle surgery like years ago, and I think that was what he got prescribed. So yeah, it's just very unusual, the medical examiner said, to see that in an 11-year-old boy. So I don't know if she was just trying to cover up his pain with that, or if she was maybe just trying to sedate him so she could do whatever she had done to him. And there's a few scenarios that are kind of going around in my head right now, like on why she maybe used that. But that is a prescription. Like, you have to be prescribed that by a doctor, and usually they don't give it to kids, unless it was like an extreme circumstance. But yeah, that was really interesting. That's something we learned today. And then the last kind of points I wanted to hit on was, they actually had one of the neighbors testified. I don't know if she testified maybe it might have been on like Friday, and I had missed it, so I was doing some catch up. But they had a neighbor, and she had mentioned that she actually met Leticia when she was doing like a porch pickup, because she was looking for like clothes for her niece. And that's how she met Leticia. And then in that, she thought it was just very off, where she started like talking about how her son was missing and just telling her like a lot of personal like details that she was like, I don't even know you. Like, why are you telling me all of this? And she just thought it, like, just her first impression of Leticia was really just weird. And she did mention, like, you know, she was very active. This neighbor, she was very active in the search when Gannon went missing. And she said she knows for a fact that Leticia was not searching for him. And she knew that because she could see like her house and knew like she was at home. She was not searching for him, which is a big red flag to me. And then another part of the testimony she had shared was like like Leticia had wanted her to use like a private messaging app. And this was when the neighbor, she like had created another Facebook page like that wasn't under her name to try and get like more information out of Leticia. And so like that was just kind of strange where Leticia wanted her to get like this messaging app, so their conversations would be more private. And Leticia's name was Barbie Girl in that in those conversations. But yeah, just kind of weird. Like, you know, she obviously was trying to hide things, didn't want people to know. And so like the lady just kind of went with it because she was trying to get information out of her. The lady also mentioned that there's like cameras everywhere in that neighborhood. So we know the one neighbor has, you know, his footage was a big thing with, they could see like when Gannon was still alive, and they caught that on video when he was kind of walking by the truck and stuff. And so yeah, like she had mentioned that they have cameras everywhere. Like it's just one of those close-knit neighborhoods. Like everyone looks out for each other. And so it's going to be noticeable if something weird is going on. Like most people probably have like a ring doorbell or something like that. My neighborhood is very similar. Like it's a very small dead end neighborhood. Yeah, we like live on a dead end. Like we know all of our neighbors, and you know, everybody looks out for each other. We notice if there's like a stranger in the neighborhood. Like it's just one of those things. So it sounds like it was something very similar there where Gannon lived. So she did mention that. So, you know, she's like, pretty much if something's going on in the neighborhood, we're going to find out because there's cameras everywhere. She did mention like the lie detector thing, how Tisha did the fake polygraph stuff, and that was bizarre in itself. And I think today in court, they did release like the phone call when she like called the lie detector people. So that's something I'm going to have to look at so I can give an update on that. She did talk to Leticia did talk to the neighbor about like the intruder theory that she keeps telling Al and stuff, and that she specifically mentioned that, oh, he took that suitcase. So she's kind of planting the seed there that, oh, you know, he ended up being found in a suitcase, and he's the one that took that suitcase. And so there was that. And Leticia did ask her flat out to lie. She was basically looking for like a witness to corroborate what she was saying. So those are kind of the big things I got out of the testimony with the neighbor. So I thought, you know, she had a lot to say, and it was really interesting. But yeah, like I don't know, just I mean, I have followed this case from day one, and I mean, I've always just I felt so bad for Gannon. Like Gannon reminds me so much of my son. Like, you know, it's pretty well known. Gannon's really into like Sonic and Mario. Like he was really into his Nintendo Switch. And my son is the same. Like my son loves Sonic. Like we watch the movie like all the time. And every time I think of the movie, I think of Gannon. And I just took my son to go see the Super Mario movie that just came out. And it's like hard not to like think of Ganon when I think of Sonic or Mario, because that's just something that's always been part of this story, that's, you know, characters that he loved. But yes, my heart really goes out to Al and Landon and all of Gannon's family. You know, this case really pulls on my heartstrings, and yeah, that's why I wanted to cover it. And so yeah, I will keep posting. Like I said, I tend to do shorter videos. I do the shorts a lot, or sometimes I'll do like an actual video upload, but I just do like shorter ones. Just because I work, you know, I do work full time, and I'm a mom, and so I just kind of do what I can when I have the time. And but I just want to come on here, kind of give a little recap of what's been going on so far. I also am covering the Lori Vallow trial, so I will start posting updates about that as we hear them. I know there's no cameras in the courtroom, so it's probably won't be the same as Leticia's trial, where we get a lot more information because we, you know, that is being live streamed. But I will definitely try to post updates as I can get them. But that's what I have so far. I really appreciate everyone maybe listening to the replay. Like I said, this is my very first live. I just found out that I have the capability to use it because I mean, I'm a very new channel, so I don't have a ton of subscribers yet. So if everyone could like and subscribe, If you like the video, I'd really appreciate it. And I will talk to you guys later.